I thought my wife was faithful. But my brother accidentally called her by a pet name, in front of me. That slip ruined everything. I need to tell this story before I lose my mind completely. My name is Marcus. I'm 34. 3 weeks ago I had everything. A wife I adored. 2 kids who looked at me like I hung the moon. A brother I would have died for. That felt unshakable. Today, I have an apartment that smells like cigarettes and regret. Supervised visits every other weekend. And a lawyer who keeps using the word amicable. Like it means anything when entire existence has been torched. It started at my son's birthday party. Evan turned 7. We had the backyard full of kids, balloons everywhere. That cheap sheet cake from the grocery store that somehow tastes better than the expensive stuff. My wife Sarah was in her element. Organizing games. Making sure every kid felt included. She always did that. Made people feel seen. My brother Derek showed late, which wasn't unusual. He'd been staying with us on and off for 6 months after his divorce. Sarah had insisted. He's family, she'd said. He needs us right now. I loved her for that kindness. God, I loved her for that. Derek was helping Sarah carry out the ice cream. They were laughing about something. I was across the yard, manning the grill. Watching them with this warm feeling in my chest. My wife and my brother. The 2 people I trusted most in the world, getting along so well. Then Derek said it. Thanks, Songbird. Or Alexander. Songbird. The word hit me like a physical thing. The spatula fell from my hand onto the concrete. Sarah's face went white. Actually white. The color drained so fast I thought she might faint. Derek froze mid-step, the ice cream container still in his hands. His eyes went wide. Then wider, the realization spreading across his face like in water. Marcus He started. What did just call her? My voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded hollow. It's nothing, Sarah said quickly. Too quickly. It's just a silly nickname. He calls everyone. I don't call everyone that. Derek's voice was barely a whisper. He looked like he wanted to dissolve. Marcus, please, I can explain. But he couldn't. Because there was only one explanation. Songbird was what I called Sarah. Only me. It had been our thing since college. She used to sing in the shower, these old jazz standards, and I joked that she was my little songbird. Nobody else knew that name. Nobody. Except now my brother did. The party continued around us. Kids screaming, parents chatting, music playing. But the 3 of us stood frozen in this bubble of absolute devastation. I watched Sarah's eyes fill with tears. I watched Derek's hands start shaking so hard he had to put down the ice cream. How long? I asked. Neither of them answered. SOW lunge. Sarah's voice cracked. Marcus, the kids. Right. Evan was 10 feet away, watching us with confused eyes. I forced my face into something that might have looked like a smile. I picked my spatula. I flipped burgers I would never eat. I finished that godforsaken birthday party. I sang happy birthday. I cake. I handed out goodie bags. I hugged my son and told him I loved him. I took pictures that will sit in a box, somewhere. Evidence that in the last day my family existed. The whole time, I couldn't look at either of them. Every time I tried. I saw that moment on repeat. The way Derek had said it so casually. So comfortable. Like he'd said it 100 times before. Like he had the right. After the last guest left and we'd gotten the kids to bed. We sat in the living room. The 3 of us. This sick, twisted parody of all the times we'd hung out together before. It's been 4 months, Sarah finally whispered. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. 4 months. 4 months of lies. 4 months of him living in my house, eating my food, playing with my kids. 4 months of her kissing me goodnight and then what? Going to him. In my house. In the guest room I'd set for him because I wanted him to be comfortable, while he healed from his divorce. Did ever love me? I asked her. Of course I did. I do. Marcus, please, get out, I said to Derek. My voice was calm, dead. Get out of my house right now, or I will do something we'll all regret. He left. He actually tried to hug me first. And I shoved him so hard he hit the doorframe. Then he left. Sarah cried. She begged. She explained that it just happened, that they never meant for it to happen, that she was confused, that she still loved me. That it was over now, that we could fix this. All the words people say when they've destroyed everything. And suddenly realize they want it back. I slept in my car that night. In my own driveway. Because I couldn't be in that house with her, but I couldn't leave my kids either. The next morning, my daughter Emma asked me why Daddy slept in the car. She's 5. She doesn't understand. Why Daddy's eyes are red, and why Mommy cries every time she sees him, and why Uncle Derek doesn't come over anymore. How to explain to a 5-year-old that the adults she trusted most are liars. That love isn't real. That family is just a word people use until something better comes along. I moved out 3 days later. Sarah got the house. The judge said it was in the children's best interest to maintain stability. So my kids get to stay in the house where their mother betrayed their father with his own brother. That's stability. I see them every other weekend. Court ordered. Supervised at first because Sarah's lawyer argued I was emotionally unstable. I was emotionally unstable because I found out my wife was sleeping with my brother. But sure, I'm the problem. Derek has been calling, texting, leaving voicemails. He wants to explain. He wants me to understand that they fell in love. Like that makes it better. Like love is a permission slip to destroy someone. Sarah sends me pictures of the kids. Little updates about their days. Ivan got an A on his spelling test. Emma learned to ride her bike. Each message is she gets to see these moments. She gets to be there. She gets and I get this apartment with walls so thin I can hear my neighbor's TV, and a mattress on the floor, because I can't bring to buy furniture. What's the point? This isn't a home. It's a waiting room for I don't want. My parents don't know yet. I can't tell them. How do I tell my mother that both of her sons are involved in this nightmare? That she has to choose. Because that's what will happen. She'll try not to, but she'll choose. Everyone always does. I lost 15 pounds in 3 weeks. I can't eat. Food tastes like ash. Everything tastes like ash. Last night, I drove past our house. The lights were on. I could see Sarah through the window, reading to Emma. Our daughter. Oh, your daughter. In our house. Living your. Except I'm not there anymore. She's erased me and I'm still breathing. I keep replaying that moment. Thanks, Songbird. 2 words. That's all it took. 2 words and my entire world collapsed. Sometimes I wonder if I'd been happier not knowing. If Derek had never slipped. If I'd just lived in ignorant bliss, while they carried on behind my back. At least then my kids would still have both parents, under one roof. At least then I wouldn't wake every morning with this howling warning my chest. But I do know. And I can't unknow it. And that's the thing about betrayal. Once see it everywhere. In every smile, every touch, every moment I thought was real. I'm living in a museum of lies, and every memory is contaminated. People at work have noticed. I'm making mistakes. Missing deadlines. I nearly got written last week. My boss pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay at home. I almost laughed. Almost told him there is no home. There's just wreckage. The worst part, I still love her. I for it, but I do. 10 years of marriage doesn't just evaporate. Because she decided my brother was worth more than our vows. My heart hasn't caught to my brain yet. My heart is still back in that backyard, before the slip. When I thought I knew what my was. I thought she was faithful. I thought my brother was loyal. I thought I was building something permanent. Turns out I was building on sand the whole time. And now I'm standing in the ruins. Trying to figure out how to explain to my children why Daddy doesn't live here anymore. Because their mother loved a different version of me, the one that looked just like me but had a different name. It's been 2 months now. 8 weeks. 56 days. I count them like a prisoner. The divorce papers came last Tuesday. Sarah's lawyer sent them to my work. My work. My assistant brought them in during a meeting. And I had to excuse to throw in the bathroom. Professional. Real professional, Marcus. I signed them in the bathroom stall. My hand was shaking so hard I could barely write my name. 10 years of marriage, 2 kids, a mortgage, shared dreams, inside jokes, 1,000 tiny moments that made us US, reduced to 47 pages of legal terminology, and asset distribution. She gets the house. I knew that was coming. She gets primary custody. I get every other weekend and alternate in holidays. She gets the photo albums, the wedding china her grandmother gave us, the we built. I get to pay for all of it, child support, spousal support. Half the mortgage until the house sells, if it sells. My lawyer says I'm getting a fair deal. Fair. That word has lost all meaning. The kids know now. We told them together, like the parenting books suggest. United front. Co-parenting. All the buzzwords that mean. We're lying to face about why family exploded. Evan asked if it was his fault. 7 years old and he's already learned to blame himself for failures. I held him and told him no. Never. That sometimes adults make mistakes and this wasn't about him. The lie tasted like battery acid. Emma cried for 3 hours straight. She kept asking when Daddy was coming home. Not if. And. Like this was temporary. Like I was on a business trip and would eventually return to normal. There is no normal to return to. Sarah tried to touch my shoulder while we were telling them. Actually reached out like she had the right to comfort me. I pulled away so fast I knocked over Emma's juice cup. The stain is probably still on their carpet. Our carpet. No. HR carpet. I don't get to call anything ours anymore. The first supervised visit was, there's this woman, Carol, who sits in the corner with a clipboard and watches me interact with my own children. She's there to make sure I'm emotionally stable. To make sure I don't them against my mother. As if I would. As if I'd use them as weapons. But Sarah gets to be with them unsupervised every single day. Sarah, who broke our family. Sarah, who lied for 4 months. Sarah, who taught them that vows are optional and loyalty is conditional. But sure, I'm the risk. Evan asked about Uncle Derek during that first visit. Why doesn't Uncle Derek come over anymore? Carol's pen stopped moving. The silence was deafening. Uncle Derek moved away, buddy. I said. Another lie. Derek lives 15 minutes from here. But, what was I supposed to say? Uncle Derek was sleeping with Mommy in the room down the hall from yours. But I miss him, Evan said. He was teaching me guitar. Of course he was. Derek got to be the fun uncle. The guy who showed with presents and jokes and guitar lessons. While I was working 60-hour weeks to pay for the house. And the lessons, and the birthday parties. Derek was building memories with my son. With my wife. I excused and cried in the bathroom. Carol noted it on her clipboard. I'm sure it'll be in her report. Feather emotionally unstable. Cried during visitation. Emma drew me a picture that day. Our family. Me, Sarah, her, Evan, all holding hands, all smiling. In her world, we still exist. She hasn't processed that the picture she drew is fiction now. I have it on my refrigerator. The only thing on my refrigerator. In this empty apartment with its blank walls and second-hand furniture and the constant smell of failure. I finally told my parents last week. I had to. They kept asking why they hadn't seen the kids. Why Sarah wasn't returning their calls. Why Derek wasn't at Sunday dinner anymore. My mother sobbed. Full body sobs. My father just sat there, stone-faced, processing. Then he asked a question I'd been dreading. What did do, Marcus? What did I do? I worked. I was faithful. I loved my wife. I trusted my brother. I built a. Those were my crimes apparently. Nothing, Dad. I didn't do anything. Something must have happened. Sarah wouldn't just. Sarah slept with Derek for 4 months, when our How was at work providing for our family. That's what happened. My mother made this sound. This wounded animal sound. Then she said, Derek wouldn't. Not Derek. And there it was. The choice I knew was coming. She didn't believe me. Her own son. She needed it to be more complicated. Needed me to have done something to deserve this. Because if I didn't, if this could just happy pen to a good marriage, then nothing is safe. No one is safe. My father called Derek that night. I know because Derek called me right after, screaming about how I had no right to private. How it was private. How I was trying to turn everyone against him. Remai Birachi. He kept saying. We can get through this. I hung. He called back 17 times. I blocked his number. Then he started calling from other numbers. Friends of phones, work phones, burner numbers. Always the same message. We need to talk. Let me explain. Don't understand. We fell in love, Marcus. Real love. That understand if just listen. Real love. He thinks what they did was love. Love doesn't destroy. Love doesn't sneak around. Love doesn't happen in the guest room of brother's house, while his kids sleep down the hall. That's not love. That's selfishness with better marketing. Sarah sent me a long email 3 weeks ago. Pages and pages of explanation, justification. She was lonely. I was always working. Derek understood her. They tried to stop, it just kept happening. She never meant to me. She still cares about me. She wants us to be friends for the kids. Friends. I read it once. Then I read it again. Then I read it 17 more times, looking for the part where she took actual responsibility. Where she said, I chose this. I chose to betray. I chose my pleasure over pain. I chose to risk everything and I lost. That part never came. It was all passive voice. It happened. Things evolved. We found ourselves. Like they were victims of circumstance instead of architects of destruction. I didn't respond. What would I say? Thanks for the explanation, really clears things. I forgive. Let's co-parent. I can't be friends with her. I can barely look at her during custody exchanges. Every time I see her face, I see her with him. Every time I hear her voice, I hear her lying to me. Just going to bed early, honey. Derek and I are watching a movie. Love Palm. All lies. Every single one. Work is getting worse. I got a formal warning last week. Too many absent-sick. Declining performance. They're concerned about my well-being. They're concerned about their bottom line. I'm a liability now. I almost told my boss everything. Almost vomited the whole story across his desk. But what good would it do? It won't change anything. It won't give me my back. Nothing will give me my back. I saw them together last week. Sarah and Derek. At the grocery store. My grocery store. The one near my apartment. They were shopping together. Laughing over something in the produce section. Derek's hand on the small of her back. That casual intimacy that comes from repetition. From practice. They didn't see me. I ducked behind the end cap and watched them like a. Watched my brother touch my wife. My wife. Except she's not mine anymore, is she? The papers are signed. In a few months, it'll be official. She'll be free to be with him publicly. Officially. They can stop hiding. And I'll be the joke everyone whispers about. Did hear about Marcus. His wife left him for his brother. Can't imagine. I left my cart in the aisle and walked out. Drove home. Sat in my car in the parking garage for 2 hours. That's when I realized, I don't want to. But I don't particularly want to live either. I'm just existing in this gray space, between the person I was, and whoever I'm supposed to become. The supervised visits ended last week. Carol decided I was stable enough for unsupervised time. It should feel like a victory. It feels like another joke. Because now I get my kids every other weekend, in this sad apartment. I get to pretend this is normal. Set the air mattresses in the living room. Because I don't have a second bedroom. Order pizza because I can't cook anymore. Watch them try to be happy for me, while missing their mom and their house and their real. Evan asked if he could bring friends over. I had to say no. Because what would I say to their parents? Sure. Drop Tommy off at my depressing studio apartment where his friend sleeps on the floor. 'Cause his dad's wife was unfaithful. Emma keeps asking when we're going home. She doesn't understand this. Ice my home now. This is all I get. I've lost 23 pounds total. My clothes don't fit. I look like a ghost in the mirror. Maybe I am a ghost. The ghost of who I used to be, haunting the ruins of what I thought real. My friends don't call anymore. Couple friends. Oh, you are friends. Except they were really Sarah's friends, and I was just the plus one. Now that we're split, I'm the uncomfortable reminder that marriages can fail. I'm the evidence that happily ever after is a lie. So they don't invite me. And I don't blame them. I'm alone in a way I didn't know was possible. Alone in crowds. Alone at work. Alone in this apartment. Alone with my kids. Because even when they're here, they're missing their real home. The only person I talk to regularly is my lawyer. $350 an hour to discuss how to split, and neither of us wanted to divide. Sometimes I imagine alternate realities. Ones where Derek never came to stay with us. Where he got his own place after his divorce. Where Sarah and I had fights like normal couples and worked through them like adults. Where Songbird stayed mine. But I don't live in those realities. I live in this one. Where every day is another reminder of what I lost. Another day further from the person I used to be. Another day closer to whoever I'm supposed to be now. And I have no idea who that is. The divorce finalized 3 weeks ago. February 14th. Valentine's Day. The universe has a sick sense of humor. I sat in the courtroom and watched a judge dissolve 10 years in under 20 minutes. Sarah wore black. Appropriate. We were burying something after all. She cried. I didn't. I think I'm out of tears. I think I've Cried so much these past 5 months that my body just gave. Dehydrated from grief. The judge asked if we had anything to say. Sarah looked at me like she wanted me to stand and declare this was all a mistake. To tell the court we could fix this. I said nothing. What was there to say? Honor. I'd like to stay married to someone who betrayed me with my brother. Please force her to love only me. Can't legislate loyalty. Can't court order faithfulness. So I said nothing, and the judge signed the papers, and Sarah stopped being my wife. Just like that. She's been with Derek publicly for 6 weeks now. They're not hiding anymore. My mother called it moving on. My father hasn't spoken to either of them. Small victory, I guess. One parent who chose correctly. But he looks at me differently now. Like I'm broken. Damaged goods. His son who couldn't keep his wife. His son who let his brother steal his. Like it was something I let happen. Evan's grades are slipping. His teacher called last week. He's been getting into fights at school. 7 years old, and he's already learned that pain comes out sideways. That when world explodes, with it. The school counselor suggested therapy. For the whole family, she said. Like we're still a family. Like sitting in a room together, will magic away the fact that his mother destroyed his home for her own pleasure. Sarah agreed immediately. Wants us to do family counseling. Wants me to sit across from her and Derek and talk about feelings and healing and parenting, while they hold hands and I pretend my heart isn't a crime scene. I said no. My lawyer said that might mean in future custody hearings. That refusing therapy looks like I'm not prioritizing the children's well-being. But sitting in a room with them, validating their relationship, normalizing what they did, teaching my kids that betrayal just requires some counseling and everything's fine. That's the alternative. So I'm the bad guy either way. Emma stopped drawing pictures of our family. Now she draws separate pictures. One of her and Evan with Sarah. One of her and Evan with me. Never all of us together anymore. She's 7 years old, and she's already learned that some things can't be fixed. That some breaks are permanent. I did that to her. Not directly, but I'm part of this. I'm half of the equation that made her world unstable. And she'll carry that forever. Studies show it. Kids of divorce struggle with relationships. With trust. With commitment. I gave her that. That's my legacy now. The apartment is still mostly empty. I bought a couch last month. Used, from Facebook Marketplace. The guy who sold it to me made small talk during loading. Asked if I was furnishing a new place. I said yes. He asked if it was exciting, a fresh start. I said yes to that too. Lies are easier than the truth. The truth is that nothing about this is fresh. It's all rotting and old and diseased. I'm not starting over. I'm just existing in the wasteland of what used to be. Derek tried to see me last month, showed at my apartment. I watched him through the peephole, knocking, calling my name. Crying. Actually crying. Marcus, please. I'm still brother. We can get through this. Family is family. I didn't open the door. He stood there for 40 minutes before leaving. He left a letter. I burned it without reading it. I'm sure it said all the same things. Love. Accident. Sorry. Didn't words that mean nothing when the damage is permanent. Family is family, he said. Family doesn't do this. Family doesn't sneak around. Family doesn't steal. Whatever Derek is, he stopped being my brother the moment he decided his wants mattered more than my. Sarah keeps trying to. Texting about things beyond the kids. How are doing? I'm worried about. Lost so much weight. Like she cares. Like her worry means anything when she's the one who did this. I don't respond to those messages. I respond to the ones about Evan's dentist appointment and Emma's school play. And who's picking them when. The logistics of shared children. The business of broken families. Everything else is noise. I went on a date last week. My coworker said it. Need to get back out there, she said. Like I'm a product that needs to return to market. Like my value is in being partnered. Her name was Jennifer. She was nice. Pretty. Laughed at my jokes. Touched my arm when she talked. All the signs that this could be something. And I felt nothing. Worse than nothing. I felt like I was cheating. On Sarah. My ex-wife. The woman who destroyed me. And I still felt guilty for sitting across from another woman. I excused after the appetizers. Told Jennifer I was sick. Paid for her meal and left. She texted later asking if I was okay. I haven't responded. What would I say? Sorry, I'm too broken to be a person right now. I don't think I'll ever be unbroken. The thing about betrayal is that it's not a wound that heals. It's a scar that rewrites DNA. I'm fundamentally different now. I was Marcus who trusted. Marcus who loved openly. Marcus who believed in permanence. Now I'm Marcus who knows better. Marcus who checks phones. Marcus who questions everything. Marcus who will never, ever give anyone the power to destroy him again. Which means I'll never really love anyone again either. Because can't love without trust. Can't build without vulnerability. And I'm all out of both. Work finally let me go last week. Downsizing, they called it. We both know what it really was. I'm unreliable. Distracted. A shell of who I used to be professionally. They gave me a severance package and some pamphlets about career counseling and mental health resources. I'm 34 years old and unemployed. Living in a sad apartment. Paying for a house I don't live in. Supporting a family I'm not part of. Seeing my kids 4 days a month. This is my now. I've been applying for jobs but every interview goes the same way. They ask about gaps in my resume. About my last position. Why I left. And I can see it in their eyes when I answer. The calculation. The judgment. This guy's a mess. This guy's a liability. They're right. Emma's school play was last Thursday. She was a flower in the spring pageant. Second row, third from the left. She looked so small there. So proud. Sarah and Derek sat together. Front row. He had his arm around her. She laughed at something he said. They looked like a couple. Because they are a couple. They're building what we had. Using the same playbook. Probably calling her Songbird while they do it. I sat in the back. Alone. Watched my daughter perform and clapped louder than anyone when she finished. She waved at me. Then at them. Equal distribution of love. Equal parents. Except we're not equal. They get her every day. I get supervised moments. Scheduled time. Permission to parent. After the show, Emma ran to Sarah first. Of course she did. Sarah's her primary parent. Her safe place. Her home. I'm the weekend dad. The guilt-present dad. The sorry our exploded dad. When she finally made it to me, she asked why I sat in the back. Wanted to see the whole stage, sweetheart. Another lie. They pile. Little ones. Big ones. All the lies we tell to protect kids from truths they're living through anyway. She's not. She knew. I could see it in her eyes. She knew I sat in the back because sitting near them would have killed me. But she's 7. She can't articulate that. So she hugged me extra tight and said she loved me. It's the worst feeling in the world. Being loved by someone failed. I haven't told the kids Derek and Sarah are together. Sarah thinks we should wait. Until it's more permanent. She said. As if 4 months of sneaking around wasn't permanent. As if destroying a family wasn't permitment enough. But they'll find out eventually. Kids always do. And then they'll have to process that mom's boyfriend is Uncle Derek. That the man who taught Evan guitar is the reason Daddy doesn't live with anymore. They'll have to hold both truths at once. Love for Derek. Knowledge of what he did. And they'll twist themselves into knots trying to reconcile it. Trying to be loyal to everyone. Trying not to choose. I know this because I'm living it. Because I still have good memories with Derek. 29 years of brotherhood. Of inside jokes and shared history and moments I can't just delete from my brain. And I him. Completely. With every molecule of my being. Both things are true. And my lease is in 3 months. I don't know if I'll renew. I don't know where else I'd go. Back to my childhood home. 34 years old, divorced, unemployed, living with Dad. That's the dream, right? Sometimes I think about just leaving. Really leaving. Moving states. Starting completely over where nobody knows Marcus the betrayed. Where I could just be Marcus. Whoever that is. But the kids. I can't leave the kids. Even for 4 days a month. Even when every visit reminds me of what I've lost. They're the only real thing left. The only part of my old that hasn't been contaminated. So I'll stay. In this city that holds too many ghosts. In this apartment that isn't home. In this that isn't mine. I'll stay and I'll survive and I'll pretend that's enough. Last night I did something I swore I'd never do. I drove past the house. Her house. Whatever. The lights were on. I could see them, through the window. Sarah, Derek, Evan, Emma. All 4 of them. playing some board game at the dining table. The table we bought together at that estate sale. The table where we had Thanksgiving and Christmas and 1,000 family dinners. They looked happy. Derek was laughing. Sarah was smiling. The kids were engaged, present. They looked like a family. Maybe they are a family now. The new version, the updated model. Marcus 2.0, now with less emotional availability and better guitar skills. And I'm the deleted scene. The rough draft. The version that didn't work out. I sat in my car across the street and watched them for an hour. I know how that sounds. I know what that makes me. But I needed to see it. Needed to confirm what I already knew. That goes on. That I was expendable all along. A neighbor eventually noticed me and turned on their porch light. I drove away. I went home to my empty apartment, and sat in the dark, and realized something. I'm not healing. I'm not getting better. I'm not moving on. I'm just getting further away from the blast radius. But the shrapnel's still in me. Still tearing me apart from the inside. And it always will be. Because don't recover from this. Don't bounce back. Just learn to carry it. The weight of betrayal. The knowledge that the people loved most were capable of destroying. Some lessons can't unlearn. Some trust can't rebuild. Some versions of can't get back. I was Marcus who believed in forever. Now I'm Marcus who knows better. And the worst part. The absolute worst part. Somewhere, in all this wreckage and pain and loss, they found each other. They found love. Real or not. They believe it's real. They risked everything and in their minds they won. They got each other. And all I got was this lousy apartment, and a front row seat to watching my replacement. Live my. If we're reading this and thinking about the affair, about the risk, about whether the grass is really greener, let me save some time. It's not grass on the other side. It's scorched earth. It's salted fields where nothing will ever grow again. And the person we're about to become. The one who betrays, who lies, who chooses desire over duty. I'll have to live with them forever. I'll see them in the mirror every morning. In kids' eyes, every time they look at, and wonder if love is real. In every relationship try to build on the foundation of someone else's demolished. That slip didn't everything. I did. By trusting. By loving. By believing that vows meant something and family was sacred. And the people closest to wouldn't, gut, for sport. I built my whole on the assumption that love was real. Yeah. And, it turns out I was building on quicksand the entire time.